Hello, welcome. I'm actually going to change this. Yeah, put it back over here. Yeah, today I am going to talk about the Hornet. Even though it's a domestic car, my Hornet is 100% Italian. I've never faced that with another car before. I ended up at a Dodge dealership because I knew they had more markup on their cars than imports. I figured that out because I worked at a Toyota dealership. I sold Toyotas for a while. And I didn't know anything about the car industry, sort of thing. I thought all car makers had large gaps in them. But yeah, that's when I learned that domestic dealers have a huge markup compared to import dealers, right? And I went there for that reason. I was actually going to buy a Cherokee next door, but I ended up buying this Hornet. I didn't know anything about it. I quickly the night before, my buddy told me. I think I told this story before. My buddy told me about it. I googled it, found out, oh, it's a rebadged Alpine. With cars nowadays, you have no idea where the parts are from. Like your Ford F-150 has parts made from China in it, and if you've had to replace something on it, they get their parts, the replacement parts. They're not, made in China, and you know, there's problems with that. Ford's having problems with that, so you don't know where all this stuff is from, right? Slowly over the course of owning this thing here now, it's over a year and a half or something. It's a 2023 Hornet, uh, Canadian Hornet, not American. I know this from researching. We had a Jag and researching the Jags and how cars destined for the States are different than cars destined for Canada. Not just because of the cold weather and stuff like that. That used to play a factor way back in the day, like in the 80s. But since then, it's so the Hornet, the Canadian destined Hornet, had the Hurricane engines built in Italy. They were actually built in Italy. They weren't built in like Turkey or Czechoslovakia or wherever. They were built in Italy, and the car was assembled in Italy, and then it was put in the parking lot, and then put on containers or whatever, and shipped directly to Canada, the east coast of Canada, where cars landed, and then they were shipped across the country or whatever. And I had mine on the other side of the continent in Victoria, so it landed in Vancouver and still had to be shipped over from Vancouver, right? And they had a different Hornet there, one that I was actually interested in, the one that I wanted to go see. It was an 8 ball with a track pack in it. It sounded fun. Had a cold weather package. I was like, you know what, that sounds like a really fun thing, especially after looking at SUVs and how depressingly boring they all are. The I didn't mention this in the other video where I talked about the interior of this car and how it impressed me, but this car is originally an Alfa Romeo Tonale, right? And that was destined to be Alfa Romeo's first attempt into the small, compact, I guess, luxury car segment. Up against the X3, the Audi, sorry, the X3, yeah, the X3, Q3, Audi, um, stuff like that, right? And just by this being rebranded a Dodge to go up against, Ford, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, like regular, like the value in just the value in that, even though it's expensive and people want to whine about that for some reason, because all cars are expensive, and what are you getting for your money, right? This was like $3,000 or $4,000 less than a Tonale, and you got the same car. Literally here in Canada, you got the same car. You got a 100% Italian made, rebranded. Literally, in the old days, they used to say, just stick the badge on it, a different badge on it, and sell it. That's exactly what happened here. They just put a different badge on it and sent it out the door. They kept everything else. I don't know if it's changed since 2023, but the 2023 models were built, assembled, manufactured in Italy, and sent over here. We had recalls for stickers. I think 2 or 3 recalls, and we were sent stickers in the mail to bring it up to code for the Canadian market, for whatever whatever Canada's automotive safety things, right? Because it was missing certain symbols and whatever. We got those stickers. I still have them in the glove box. I haven't put them on the car yet, so that they comply, right? Like I'm pretty sure like these little plastic venti things and maybe the lights and all that stuff was made in China, sent to Italy, and probably put on the car or whatever. But yeah, this car, this domestic car, is 100% not domestic. Like, yeah, I think that's hilarious. This car is 100% Italian. And if you're in the Hornet, if you own a Hornet and you know about this, say it in the comments. Um, if I'm making a mistake actually about any of this, like I know the American version of the Hornet, their parts are shipped to Mexico for the final assembly, and then they're shipped up from Mexico into the United States. Some of them, I don't know about all of them. Maybe it is something like that. I don't know how Stellantis does it in the States, but I do remember somebody mentioning that in the comments in one of my previous videos. So the cars in America are, they come from all over the pieces of the car come from all over the place and are assembled somewhere. Maybe they're assembled in a plant in the States. I don't know. Or the engines are made in Mexico and sent up and put together in the United States. I don't know. And in that way, it makes it kind of a domestic for the Americans, right? But here for Canada, no. These cars were. This is a 100% Italian car. Kind of strange to say. Like I'm driving around in a Dodge with a Dodge badge on it. None of the Dodge people like it. Know what it is. Really don't care. And or they care enough to know that it's not a real Dodge. It's not a real Dodge, so piece of shit. And I don't get that. Like if this interior was in a Hellcat, it would be worth paying that $120,000. Have you looked in the interiors of those cars? Those Challengers and the high priced ones like the Red Eyes and the Hellcats and the Demons and stuff. Like it's pretty. I don't know. You'd be better off with an Audi interior or Volvo interior. Volvo interiors are nice, and they're not $120,000. But that's just me. It's that's just me. If you're going to be paying $120,000 for a car and you got to sit in it all the time and it's boring as. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. The the whole thing, yeah, the whole thing was assembled and put together in Italy, and it was shipped over. And I was actually surprised to find that out, especially the engine. I thought the engine, I thought they were made in the States or somewhere else. I thought they were made somewhere and shipped over because I don't know if I trust an Italian building an engine. You know what I mean? It'll sound great, it'll look great, it'll perform great, and then it'll go clickety clickety clack, bang, 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 crumble, crumble, crumble. That's what Italian cars are known for, anyway, right? I'm surprised with this one. Year and a half in, everything's holding up wonderfully well. I I don't know. I'm not trying to sell you on a Hornet. I really am not. You're gonna like it or you're not. And if you own one, you know what I'm talking about. It's a seriously fun car. It's seriously spirited. It's a Dodge. The car has character. Would I go so far as to say it's got soul, personality? I don't know. It does. Like driving this thing around is it's a little Hellcat. That's the word that springs to mind. Like, no, it's not overpowered and all of that, and it doesn't. You don't lose control, and you don't get the fear, from launching and going, "Oh my God, I'm out of control," sort of thing, right? But it launches it. It makes it all fun. It makes it all worthwhile, and I can't say that about any of the Hondas I've owned. The Toyota, I couldn't say that about. I mean, it was a appliance, right? You get in, everything works like it's supposed to. Yeah, the interior is the interior, whatever, whatever. The funnest Honda I've ever driven was the SI Civic, not the newer ones, the old naturally aspirated single overhead cam, 1.7 liter, 2000 and 2001, I think it was. I got it in the gold color. I actually bought it for my wife. Well, she crashed her old Civic SI, is what it was, and that one was modded. It was tuned, it was lowered, and that was a fun car. But that was the end of that. And I bought brand new Civic. We didn't mod it. We didn't do anything to it. I just kept it plain Jane, and I had a gas in that car. My car was fun. I like small engine cars just because you can actually use the power and have fun day to day driving, sort of thing, without wrapping it around a pole. You know, you don't need a track to launch it. Yeah, 100% Italian, and this thing has character. It is fun to drive around, and people who own these, they get it, especially if they've got the 2 liter turbo in it. I'm not sure about the RT guys because hearing those hybrids were a mess coming out of the gate. Most of them were buying them because they were stylish, and well, you had to be old to afford it for one thing. You couldn't be a young guy, and they were buying it because it was a hybrid and it looked good. And it was the weird thing about this SUV thing is that it does have a practicality to it, which I never thought it would. But I've been going through snow. We don't have, snow clearing on lots of these roads out here, and this thing has been doing absolutely fabulous. Going through tires, though, I noticed quicker than I thought, especially in the winter time. Yeah, this thing is fun to zip around, do some donuts in. It's great. Yeah, especially when you figure out how to turn off the traction control. Yeah, there we go. Now you can't turn it off. You got to turn it off in sport mode. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Anyway, 100% Italian, award-winning interior. This thing, I'm glad if you didn't buy one, I'm glad you didn't buy one because I get to be special on the road and I get to have this experience all to myself. And if you did buy one and you were one of the rare few who did, you know what I'm talking about. Leave it in the comments. Let me know how much fun your Hornet is if you're driving one, or if you got a Tonale. That's the other thing, because I more people here in the North America bought Hornets instead of Tonales, which I thought was crazy because I thought, well, if it's the same kind of car, wouldn't you want the Alpha? But I think I don't know. I don't know why. I just know that on the Tenali forum, there's not as many owners, and I know that on the Dodge Hornet forum, there's tons. And we've saw, went through most of the problems for both of the cars, solving, all the glitches and things that came out when it was brand new, more so than on the Tenali forum. That's my take. But if you got a Tenali, I have seen them, and they are beautiful. And I remember thinking, in hindsight, I wish I would have went to the Alfa Romeo dealer instead of the Dodge dealer. But I don't think I would have ended up with a good car. Like this has turned out to be a really, really good car, and I'm surprised by that. I'm actually really happy that this worked out the way it did. And I'll take the flack for owning a Fiat, a rebranded Fiat, rebranded Fiat, yeah, rebranded Fiat, because I got a little gem, and that's all we want from our cars, isn't it, guys? We all want our own little gem. All right, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.